We have been talking about employer and employee, but it's also us as consumer, as customers, and our expectation. There are so many things that we take it as given. We treat it as maybe our God-given right. I'll give one example. The middle class in Singapore expect to have a domestic helper at home. It's like, I'm busy, I need help. I got the aged parents at home. But you go to any of the other first world cities, Sydney, Melbourne, London, New York, Paris, middle class do not hire a live-in domestic helper. We have accepted it as almost a norm in Singapore. 200,000 of them over here. And then I hear Singaporean colleagues complaining, all these foreign workers on Sunday is crowding up all these shopping malls and I have nowhere to go. I mean, to me, there is something wrong here. We want the cake and we want to eat it. The second part is the way we consume and the way we behave. We have close to 70,000 cleaners in Singapore. Why do we need that number of workers to clean? In Japan, when you go to a cafeteria to eat, you automatically return the tray.
Yes. And
you keep the table neat and clean. Today, we hire dozens and dozens of cleaners everywhere just to do this thing that we could easily have done as consumers. And then we complain about foreigners. We complain about
70,000 cleaners to keep Singapore clean.
Can I just, for a Singaporean middle class, both the wife and husband have to work. The middle class cannot survive just by the husband going to work or the wife going to work.
But that's true of most developed economies.
Correct. So that is how Singapore, the living standard has been that. Now let me finish. Some families are taking care of the elderly. I know a few families, including myself, we take care of our fathers, our father-in-laws and so forth. So, if you expect a Singaporean not to have a maid, it is not that they love to have a maid now. The need is there, they need to have a neighbor.
But Mr. Nachi, I foresee a day when Singaporeans may have to adjust and do their own housework. Of course, yeah. I do see a time.
Then the old age people have to go to their homes. So someone has to take over. To say that a middle class are having maid, I think it's not for leisure or whatever. The need is there.
But it might be a reality like in certain Western developed countries where in middle class husband and wife work, they do their own housework because they cannot afford.
If they have a maid, means they will have this commitment.
In other first world countries that we've visited or lived in for a period of time, where husband and wife work, a lot of the time when it's a middle class family, they don't have live-in help. Somehow they manage to do it without hiring that live-in help.
That whole idea of I need a maid is probably a luxury that we have because we can afford it. But the reality is, for us to change our lifestyles to a certain extent to accommodate a less pampered lifestyle, could we do it? As a nation, I don't think it would be that hard.
I strongly will not agree to this statement. For Singaporeans, it's a luxury to have a maid. I don't think so. Because it's also not cheap. Compare that amount to having aged parents in a home is somewhere comparable.
So what do you think the solution is?
Frankly, I don't find it to be an issue here because no one is complaining about a maids.
The question is now, how can we work together to ensure that Singapore continues to be a home for everybody?
I'm a very young Singaporean, or rather younger, but I'm aware of what's going on, and also because I'm extremely hands-on in my business. We have to progress together. And in order to do so, we are not going to be stagnant. And I don't think in our government or anyone around us chooses that. We always choose progression. In order to do so, we need to bounce good energy off each other. We are pro-Singaporean, we hire Singaporeans, but we need to embrace the foreigners as well. They are the ones who are also supporting our growth, supporting our companies.
This is not Singapore only, Foreign workers play a very important part in our society. Looking at a recent move made by the government and MOM itself, the skills recognition framework towards the construction, and then we are now looking whether it can be extended to other sectors like manufacturing and services, will be good for both Singaporeans and foreign workers.
I think Singapore is very unique. We're multiracial, multicultural, and so we should have no problem integrating. We have a great capacity for it because that's who we are. I'm very hopeful and very optimistic. I'm looking forward to how Singapore can grow and integrate.
For us to continue to compete globally at the top level and to be the best, we have to look at talent from all over the world. If we close the avenue, we get too nervous about, wow, they're taking our jobs, we're going to lose our most valuable asset, which is really our ability to integrate the best from the world and make something unique out of it.
We need to earn a living in this world. And we have to do something for other people. Either we produce something or we provide a wonderful experience for them when they visit us. And when the tourists come here, he actually doesn't care who we are. But if he check into your hotel, he expects things to move smoothly. He expects the room to be clean, the people to be pleasant. At the end of the day, whether we are foreigners or we are Singaporean, when we are the worker, we have to be able to deliver the level of service that somebody else will want to buy it from us. Am I right?
Yep.
Is my wages fair or not fair, or is it been depressed by who and what? At the end of the day, no one owes us a living. No one owes Singapore a living. No one owes me as an individual a living. I've got to be useful to somebody else, and I've got to be able to do my job well. And the only way I'm going to be able to do my job well is my attitude better be right, better have the competency to be able to do my job. And in order to have the competency, I do need to stick around in the job to learn so that I get reasonably competent with it. And perhaps I will also add, since I'm from healthcare, in our hospitals, our healthcare is second to none. And it's only possible because we have people from all over the world. And we focus on what we are supposed to do, take care of our patient. And I think we are able to do good work, mainly because we have this diversity.
Everything that we do ultimately must make sense for Singaporeans. But what we do must also make sense for Singapore as a society. In the way we approach these issues, it's not about pretending that there are no problems. Of course there are problems. Infrastructure-wise, the rate of growth was probably faster than we could have perhaps adjusted socially. Do we then choose to focus on the negative friction points, which invariably happens, and it happens in every society, and then choose to get riled up and get angsty about it and then fight over it and quibble? Or do we focus on the positive about what could be? What can we be as a society? What really makes a country great? It's our values, our culture, our ethos, who we are as a people. A truly great nation is a society where people care for others. We have compassion, we have empathy. And when you have that kind of a society where people give of themselves to others, whether foreigners or locals, and the way we approach others, that's when you begin to build something different. Do we have the character? Do we have the values that are going to endure? We have to put those values into action, regardless of where you come from. If we begin to do that, if we begin to influence our children, then surely we will change. Surely we will become that nation. That's a vision that I think is worth fighting for. While we celebrate SG50, we will look forward. I think some of us will still be around, hopefully. Celebrate SG100.
Janice.
But that's something, yeah, no, she's very young, she will emphasize it, but that's something we should look forward to.
It is clear that we need to have an open economy and a diverse workforce in order for our continued growth. Many would also agree that the challenges of integrating foreigners cannot be addressed by the government alone. It is important for us to work together to make Singapore a better home for all. Well, thank you everybody for being here. It's been a long night.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like this.